So, if we are so well policed, why are victims more reluctant to report crime than anywhere else? And when the courts deal with them, they receive often what appear to be serial bedwetting outcomes.
Leon Biner, weekday mornings from 9 on 1395. Adelaide's 5AA. Interactive radio. Tweet at 1395 5AA. Peter Godfrey.
18 minutes past 5. And let's welcome back Selwyn Manning in New Zealand from livenews.co.nz. First time of the year. G'day, Selwyn. Welcome back.
Yeah, thank you, Peter. Good to be back.
Welcome to 2013 and
yes,
all that stuff. And you've had a nice little holiday too over the last few weeks.
Yeah, it's been quite a break, hasn't it? I know I haven't spoken on your program for, it must have been late December.
Yeah.
And, a bit of a break away myself for a couple of weeks.
Okay, Hawke's Bay. People may know it.
Yes, it's New Zealand's kind of equivalent to your Barossa Valley, the Hawke's Bay region, wine-growing region, and it's a very successful Chardonnays in the past, and certainly the Sauvignon Blancs, and it's not too bad for the reds around there too.
Okay,
the New Zealand ones.
And you sampled a few whilst you were relaxing.
Good. Yeah, few really good ones.
Fantastic. Well, back to the old grind, and you get back to work, and you had a public holiday yesterday to your National Day, Waitangi Day, commemorating the signing the Treaty of Waitangi, which goes back quite a way. When was that signed? That was what 1840.
Yes, it certainly is. Every year it's Waitangi Day, national holiday in New Zealand, and it commemorates the signing of the treaty between Queen Victoria's Britain and New Zealand Maori that were, obviously the indigenous and native people of New Zealand. So that Waitangi is a place, and that is up in the far north in the Bay of Islands. Some people who have been to New Zealand probably recognise the word Bay of Islands. It's a bit of a magnet for people when they're visiting the country. And every year hordes of people go up to Waitangi. It's often a place of controversy at Waitangi Day time, where grievances between Maori and the Crown are aired in an open debate and forum. And every year is like that. And traditionally, the Prime Minister goes up there too. They're going back into the Helen Clark years. She went up there in the first year of her Prime Ministership, and after that, she elected not to, that she would commemorate Waitangi Day in various parts around, usually in Auckland, but certainly in other parts of New Zealand. The reason for that is that there was she found insult in being prevented from speaking on the marae by one of the local kuia, which is like a woman leader in Waitangi, a woman by the name of Tirawhai Harawera, and she's notoriously staunch in New Zealand for speaking up for Ngāpuhi rights, which is the iwi, or the tribe in the far north of New Zealand. So John Key, he broke that thing of Helen Clark saying, I'm not going up there, and he's been going up there every year since he's been Prime Minister, since 2008.
Okay. So was yesterday marked with any controversy or any protests?
Yes, it certainly was, but not to the degree that we used to see in the 1990s and the early 2000s. What we saw up there was quite a lot of skirmishes and juxtapositions of who was in control, really, I suppose, in a sense, of the iwi up in the far north, Ngāpuhi tribe. And that was taking place immediately prior to John Key going up there. And it was all about the woman I was talking to, just mentioned before, Tirawhai Harawera, who has traditionally escorted the Prime Minister of New Zealand onto what they refer to as the lower marae. And the local iwi up there had decided that she wasn't this year, and she was insisting that she was. And so there was a little bit of juxtapositioning around there, but nothing too significant as far as anything else. Now, John Key used the event to deliver a speech which said the national-led government is very keen to settle many grievances and to basically pay out large amounts in settlement money to various tribes around New Zealand, various iwi. Ngāpuhi not excluded from that, and he was basically throwing down the gauntlet and saying division within your own tribe, your own iwi, is counter to that. You've got high rates of unemployment up there with treaty money going across. It would go a long way toward addressing some of the problems that your own people have up there, and he was encouraging them to get their own house in order so that the Crown was able to address some of the problems of the past. So a little bit of a little bit of a politicking there by the Prime Minister, certainly giving conditions to a want of trying to settle some of the problems that have been age-old since the Treaty of Waitangi.
Yeah, interesting to kind of think of that in the context of issues between European settlers here and Indigenous Australians, and your treaty going back to 1840, and really it's far younger any sort of treaty here as well. But looking at your experience, so still some conflict that happens, still some disagreement even after all that time.
Yeah, and because the Treaty of Waitangi is the foundation document, much of the law in New Zealand is founded on that.
Yeah.
The treaty mapped out much where the British Crown was guaranteeing the rights of sovereignty to Maori on the issues of fishing and foreshore, sovereignty over their own land, etc., but enjoying the protections of the British Empire as it developed. Some of those were the basic guarantees, but what was found was exploitation continued on. There was confiscations of Maori land, unjustified, and found in New Zealand law to be unjustified, but it took place anyway. And these types of things throughout the latter part of the 1980s and onward have been tried to be settled, Peter. And that's why they're still coming up. It goes through a Waitangi tribunal, which is it doesn't have full judicial judgment rights, but it is able to give recommendations that are then picked up by either the Crown or by higher courts.
Okay.
And that's why it's been ongoing. But there have been huge settlements. Tainui settlement was huge. That's a Waikato tribe just south of Auckland, and very significant. And also in the South Island, there's been huge ones as well.
Two other matters. Middle of summer, your experience a bit of a dry spell. Not officially a drought there in New Zealand, but
not officially
close.
A drought, but certainly there's been concerns like in the Auckland region. Your listeners that are up at this time of the early morning, Peter, would probably know that when I've spoken to you almost week after week after week living in Auckland, I'll say, oh, it's actually a bit cloudy. It looks like more rain this morning, or it's drizzling outside. And Auckland's kind of built smack in the middle of a couple of rainforests, and so we certainly get a lot of our fair share of rain. But the experience of the last month has been that there has been no rain falling in Auckland. There was, apart from 2 days early this week, and apart from that, there's been just dry spells. When I was away on holiday, came back. The Pahuta kawa trees here in the backyard that I've got in the property here, which is some people call the New Zealand Christmas tree. Traditionally, they're very green and lush. Well, it had dropped about nearly 2/3 of its leaves, which is really unusual. The ground cracked in parts. This will be nothing for your listeners there. Will say, he's that Kiwi's talking about a drought. He wants to come over here and see droughts this time. But we had our own small scale of bushfires, some sadly deliberately lit, and others not. And we also had the local council putting a caution on the use of water, and certainly a fire ban. So there's been all the measures that lead into a full-blown drought. Whether or not this is going to hang on, who can tell, but this week looks like certainly the high-pressure systems coming across the Tasman at the moment are guaranteeing more blue sky days into a unforeseeable future.
Okay. How's temperatures been? Have you anything unusual as far as temperatures through summer for you guys?
Not too bad. Actually, there's this odd kind of chill in the air out there this morning. And what we've found is the highs have been around the 25 degrees Celsius. So it's quite a comfortable heat, quite a comfortable summer. Many people are just loving the summer. And down in the, I mentioned in the Hawke's Bay region, that too has been experiencing very dry conditions. Good for our wine industry. Our wine industry is expecting a bumper crop this year of quality wine. Quality grapes, I should say. So time will tell to see whether or not the 2012 vintage, 2013 summer is actually a quality one once it's in the bottle.
We will soon see. Well, Selwyn, many thanks. Good to talk to you again, and we'll catch up with you again next week.
Okay, Peter, take care.
Thanks for that.
Bye.
Selwyn Manning in New Zealand. For more news from New Zealand, from that part of the world, livenews.co.nz, and you'll find it all there. 28 and a half minutes past 5, Anne Stone with news, sport and weather next. And then more of your calls, more of your texts, more of your emails. 8223 0000. Love to talk to you.
If you're looking to lose weight and keep it off, here's some great news. New Fat Away contains active ingredients for fat burning, fat metabolism, fat blocking and sugar cravings. Fat Away also includes an innovative fat-fighting diet and exercise program. Plus, with our amazing risk-free 100% money-back guarantee, you've nothing to lose but fat. Fat Away from leading health stores and pharmacies. Always read the label. Use only as directed. Use with a calorie-controlled diet and exercise program.
Never had to arrange a funeral before? Where do you start? Who do you talk to? Not something you know much about? Centennial Park can help. Want it done right with quality award-winning facilities and services? Centennial Park staff are all extremely supportive and highly trained. Our focus is on our community and giving back to that community. This is why all our services are eco-friendly and fully carbon offset at no cost to you. Find out more at centennialpark.org.
If you would like to buy a South Australian-made bicycle or a pair of locally manufactured bifocals, all you need to do is just look for the Buy SA logo, which tells you that the business you're supporting or the product you're choosing is produced, created or even grown right here in South Australia. And that means the advantages to the local economy are, by the way, sensational. Next time you're shopping, look for the Buy SA logo or visit buysouthaustralian.com.au. The all-new Mitsubishi Mirage has arrived at Agostino Mitsubishi from only $12,990 drive away.
5:30 on 5AA, partly cloudy today with a top of 28. I'm Anne Stone with Adelaide's comprehensive news. BHP Bulletin is set to cut about 60 workers in Adelaide and at Olympic Dam. The mining giant says low commodity prices and the strong Australian dollar are forcing it to cut costs. Jason Kukul from the SA Chamber of Mines and Energy says despite the setback, 2013 should be a positive year for SA.
In terms of the state's future, we have more mining jobs being created this year, and I'm sure that there'll be more jobs created than those that are lost.
BHP says the job losses relate to the ongoing Olympic Dam mine and not the expansion. But opposition leader Stephen Marshall says the job losses are another blow for SA's economy.
Of course, the government's been spruiking the future of BHP here in South Australia, but now what we're hearing is that there's going to be job losses on the horizon. We're keen to know from the government what they actually know about this. They've been very coy